Confronting a narcissist about their behavior is generally not a good idea, but okay, how do you do it? If you're hell-bent on confronting a narcissist about their behavior or about something that they've done, how do you go about doing this and achieve your goals? In this video, I'm going to go over some tips and some things to keep in mind if you're getting ready to confront a narcissist about something. And as we go through this video, you might possibly change your mind or change your approach. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. So instead of explaining to you why it is most people frown on confronting a narcissist or trying to have a productive conversation about their problematic behaviors, I'm going to go through the best ways to do this and explain why these are the best ways to confront a narcissist. And by doing so, I think that will explain why confronting a narcissist isn't always a good idea. I think a really important thing to do before you confront a narcissist is to manage your expectations. Really step back and think about what it is you hope to get out of this interaction. How do you expect the narcissist to react? What are you trying to accomplish with this confrontation? Are you doing this to try to change the narcissist's behavior? Are you doing this to try to get the narcissist to admit that they've done something wrong? Or are you just doing this because you're angry and you want to feel like you've got them cornered? You want them to know that you're onto them. You don't want them thinking that you're stupid. I mean, there's a lot of reasons you can be confronting a narcissist about their behavior. But I think a really good illustration of how resistant narcissists are to these confrontations and how resistant they are to accountability is an example that happened in 2009. It's a true crime story, I guess you could say, of a Florida woman. Her name is Dalia DiPolito. I think I'm saying that right. I'll spell it out on the screen in case I'm saying it wrong. Maybe some of you have heard of her. She was a newlywed, and I guess she decided she wanted her husband's money, but she didn't want her husband around anymore. So she started looking for ways to get rid of him, and she ended up trying to hire someone to, I'm trying to watch my choice of language. She ended up trying to hire somebody to get rid of him permanently. And the police were tipped off, and they ended up with this very clear video of her clearly stating her intentions and even paying for it, exchanging money. So this was just so open and shut. It was so clear, so obvious that she had done this. And I'm sure you can find this on YouTube if you just do a quick search. But the woman's husband, the target, ended up seeing this footage, this very clear footage of what she was trying to do to get rid of him. And he ended up calling her, I think it was a phone call. She was in jail, and he confronts her and he tells her, I see you on the video. I hear you ordering this thing you want done to me. Like, how could you do this to me? And even with this clear evidence, I mean, it was almost, if it hadn't have been so horrific, it would have been a joke. She's playing the victim. She's denying it. No, that's not what I was trying to do. And she's turning things around. She's gaslighting him. She's telling him how much she loves him. She's asking him things, and I'm paraphrasing. I mean, asking him things like, how could you think I would do something like that? And you can hear that he is just absolutely just bewildered, befuddled. Like, how could she be denying this? It's clear as day. But I think that this is a really good example of how far narcissists will go to avoid accountability. They don't care about reality. They don't care about any proof you have. They care about what they want to be true. They care about what they wish was true. And to them, that's more important than reality. And to them, You owe it to them to play along. You owe it to them to reject reality and just believe their fantasy. Even if they were planning on doing something terrible to you, you still owe it to them to play along with their fantasy world. So I think this is a really good example to keep in mind when you think that you're going to confront a narcissist with any kind of evidence that they've done anything wrong. If they're not ready to take accountability or even admit to something that's right in front of their face, they absolutely won't do it. I think many of them would rather die first than to admit that they've done something wrong. And I think that if you're planning on confronting a narcissist, especially if you feel like you've got really good evidence of something, you might be really thrown off, really taken aback and even shocked, and the rug pulled out from under your feet when you realize that this person is still denying whatever it is that's obviously true, or they're turning it around in some way that you never thought of before. I think it's a really good sign that you're probably in a relationship with a narcissist when you confront them with reality and the truth, and you walk away feeling more confused and worse than you did before you talked to them. Or when you have evidence of something and you say to yourself, I'm done with this. I'm leaving this person. That's it. I'm finished. And then after talking to them, you start doubting yourself, second guessing yourself, and thinking, oh, maybe I'm just imagining things, or yeah, maybe I should give them another chance. Or maybe you're even feeling guilty, or like you're being too hard on them, or whatever. It's a really common sign that you're with a narcissist when your convictions and your sense of reality is weakened when you talk to them about things that they've done. So, managing your expectations. When you confront a narcissist with something, what do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to say? What do you expect to get out of this confrontation? Are you doing this for you? Are you doing this just to let them know that you know for your own sake? Or are you doing this to try to influence them somehow? Are you doing this to try to shame them or try to change their behavior? I think this really will make a big difference in the outcome when you go in with reasonable expectations. When you go in understanding that you are the only person in this interaction that you can control. You can't force the narcissist to admit anything, no matter how much proof you have. You can't force the narcissist to be sorry. You can't force the narcissist to stop blaming it on you. You can't force the narcissist to stop playing the victim. So before you confront a narcissist, I think it's good to step back and think about what you want to achieve, what you want to do, what you want to say, and let go of anything that you're trying to get out of the narcissist with this confrontation. I think the best way to do this would be to prepare whatever it is that you want to say, whatever evidence you want to present, and really just state your message and leave it at that. Don't think that this is going to turn into a productive conversation. If it turns into a conversation at all, then it's already gone off the rails. If you have something to say to a narcissist, if you have something to show them or explain to them, all you have to do is explain it to them, show it to them, state whatever message you have for them, and that's the end of the conversation. If that's not the end of the conversation, then you've lost control of the situation and it's going to go nowhere good. And by stating your message, some examples of what I'm talking about might be saying something like, I told you that I was going to leave if you ever did this again, and you've done this again, and I'm leaving. And then that's the end of the conversation. Or it could be something like, I don't feel comfortable when you say this. I don't feel comfortable when you call me this name. And then that's the end of the conversation. As I'm editing this, I realize I've left a couple things out here. I can hear some of you asking, what if the narcissist starts arguing with me or throwing a fit or accusing me of things? What do you mean that's the end of the conversation? I really mean that you end the conversation, that you just stop talking, that when they respond with whatever they respond with,
You just say, I'm done talking about this, and that's it. And you walk away or you hang up the phone. And that also brings up a really good point, something I didn't mention. When you confront a narcissist, always make sure that you're in a place or a situation in which you are able to walk away. I wouldn't recommend confronting a narcissist in an environment that the narcissist has control over. So that's another important thing to keep in mind. And also that you have the right to stop having a conversation with anyone that you no longer want to talk to. Once you have stated whatever it is you wanted to say and you've got your message across, you don't have to continue a conversation with anyone, no matter what the narcissist says to you. You don't have to respond. You can choose to end a conversation by simply not talking anymore, by simply stating, I'm done talking, and that's it. Nobody can force you to have a conversation that you don't want to have.
Ultimatums don't work if an ultimatum is given in order to try to manipulate the narcissist. Narcissists don't respond very well to ultimatums because they really don't believe you. Narcissists are going to call your bluff any chance they get. And they know that you're usually just giving them ultimatums to try to manipulate their behavior. Even if you're trying to manipulate them into being a reasonable, decent person, you're still trying to control their behavior, manipulate their behavior by giving them ultimatums. And that's why this doesn't work, because you're really trying to manipulate a master manipulator when you do this. So when you give ultimatums to a narcissist, you have to be willing to really stick by what you say. If you tell them, I'm going to leave you if this ever happens again, you have to leave them if it ever happens again. I actually think another great way to do this, if you must confront a narcissist, is to write down your message. If you are leaving or if you're cutting them off from something, I think it is best to write down your thoughts, write down what you actually want to say to them, and then just hand them like a written note. Don't do it by text message, because if you do it by text message, then they're just going to text you back, and you got to be ready to ignore any texts that they text you back with so that you don't end up going in a back and forth, never-ending, nonsensical argument. I actually did this once. I won't go into too much detail, but I just wrote down the thoughts I had on a piece of paper and I handed them to an extremely narcissistic person and never saw that person again, actually. And I feel pretty good about that. I don't think that my words had any impact on that person, but I felt like I stated my piece and said what I wanted to say. And I think that worked out really well because it didn't turn into an interaction or a conversation or an opportunity for the narcissist to further confuse me. And if you're going to confront the narcissist in a situation in which they will have the opportunity to respond to you, I think you really need to prepare yourself for them to disagree. They're going to disagree with you. They're going to gaslight you. They're going to play the victim. They're going to do everything they can to convince you that you're wrong, you're unreasonable, you're perceiving things the wrong way, you're taking things the wrong way, you're looking at it the wrong way, you're mean, you're judgmental, whatever it is that they can throw at you to confuse you and distract you. You should be prepared for this because this is how they handle confrontations almost always. And if the narcissist doesn't handle the confrontation this way, there might be all kinds of different problems that you'll be facing. Sometimes a narcissist, if this is their last card to play, if you have absolutely backed them into a corner, they might start agreeing with you, apologizing, taking accountability, finally admitting to things that are obviously true. And you might mistakenly think that they finally get it, that they're finally sorry and they're finally going to stop doing whatever awful things they keep doing. This is really just a desperate narcissist in his or her last-ditch effort to take control of you back, to manipulate you back under control. If a narcissist starts nodding and agreeing, crying, apologizing, telling you how much they love you, that's an act of desperation. It is not an act of acknowledgement or feeling sorry or accountable or regretful in any way. And you can bet that if you take them back, if you believe them, if you think that they finally get it and you let them back into your life, they're going to recover from this desperation they were feeling, and they're going to punish you for it. So in my opinion, it's almost better if a narcissist is continually denying reality and refusing to take accountability, because at least then you can see what's truly in their heart and how they really feel about things, and how they really honestly probably feel like everything is your fault. I think after all of the pain and misery that narcissists cause us in our lives, it's totally natural to want to have that gotcha moment, to want to find that piece of evidence or that one thing that's going to finally make them admit how awful they've been, or finally make them see how unfair they are. But with narcissists, there really is no gotcha moment. There is no evidence you're going to find, or anything that you're going to find where you can really corner them and gotcha, because they're going to figure out a way to slip out of anything that you try to confront them with. And like I said earlier, you really are the only person in this interaction that you can control. If you find evidence that, for example, that they've been cheating on you, that has to be enough for you. If it's not enough for you to know, okay, I'm done with this, then how can you expect for it to be enough for the narcissist to say, oh, I've done a terrible thing and I need to change? With pathological narcissism, the narcissist is always going to be in way stronger denial about reality than you ever will be. They are working double time, trying to convince themselves that everything they do is justified. You're the bad guy. You deserve all the awful things they've done. You owe it to them to play pretend and go along with their lies and their fantasies. Somehow it's got to be your fault. So if you can't find the conviction within yourself, if you can't find the ground underneath you and say to yourself, this is enough for me, this is enough proof for me to say I'm done and I don't care what he or she has to say about this, I'm truly done. If you can't get to that point, you can't expect them to. They're narcissists. So to put it all more simply, in a nutshell, when you're confronting a narcissist, you really need to manage your expectations and be doing it for your own peace of mind. Be doing it because it's what you want to do for yourself, and let go of any expectations you have for the narcissist to listen or do anything. Whatever it is you have to say to the narcissist shouldn't have any connection whatsoever to what the narcissist does after you say whatever it is you have to say. Whatever message or confrontation or whatever it is you have for the narcissist should be something you can present and then walk away from. And now that we've gone over all of that, I think it's really important for me to say that narcissists aren't worth this. They aren't worth going through all this. Somebody that makes you look for evidence of things, somebody that makes you question your own sanity, someone that makes you sit and rehearse conversations over and over again in your head and try to think of the right thing to say to them to get through to them, isn't worth it. These people aren't giving you anything and will never give you anything that could possibly be worth all of this torment. There are so many people in this world that will just be decent, that will just care about you, that will just tell the truth, or will just admit when you catch them lying about something or doing something they shouldn't do, will just own up to it and do what they need to do to repair what they've done. There are people that just care about your feelings and will just listen to you. Narcissists are people that will put you in this trap of being 95% sure. I'm 95% sure that something terrible is going on, but what if I'm wrong? What if he's really not cheating on me? What if she really didn't steal all that stuff? What if I'm wrong? Wouldn't it be terrible if I cut off this relationship and it turns out that I was wrong and they really weren't doing these awful, terrible things? No, Because when you're in a relationship with somebody that makes you wonder what they're up to all the time and makes you look for evidence all the time, it isn't worth that 5% chance that maybe you're wrong. They aren't worth it. And cutting off the relationship because they're driving you crazy is totally worth that small chance that maybe you're wrong, because I think that most of you know you're not wrong. Healthy relationships don't have you wondering if you're wrong or not, if there's this tiny little chance that maybe you're mistaken and you're making a huge mistake by cutting this relationship off. People that have healthy relationships with you don't create this divide in you where half of you desperately wants to get out of this relationship and the other half of you desperately wants to justify staying in the relationship. These people aren't giving you anything worth this torment. What are you actually getting out of this relationship that would be so awful to have to lose just in case they really aren't cheating on you or they really aren't whatever? So in my opinion, if you get to the point where you have to confront a narcissist where what they've done is so terrible that you have to let them know how upset you are, let them know what you found out, it really isn't worth confronting them, in my opinion, because they know why. Like the story with Dahlia Dipolito, say her name wrong. Her husband called her and confronted her, and maybe it was good for him to be able to tell her that he knew and that he saw the video. But really, if he had never talked to her again, never called her, never given her any explanation, just filed for divorce and never talked to her again, it's not like she doesn't know why. It's not like it's a big mystery. So I don't think that we need to confront narcissists as much as we think we do. They like to trap us in these boxes of thinking that we have to explain to them why we don't want to have anything to do with them anymore. We have to explain to them why we're imposing consequences when we really don't. This need to try to make them take accountability or make them admit to reality. This is a trap they use. It's a trick to keep you trying, to keep you thinking that you can't impose consequences until they agree, until they validate your reality. And that's something that's never going to happen. And part of the reason it's never going to happen is because that's how narcissists keep you strung along. Instead of trying to figure out how to confront them and how to get your message across to them, start thinking about how much better you deserve. You deserve someone that doesn't make you obsess over these kinds of conversations or confrontations. You deserve somebody that doesn't have you watching videos about how to confront them with all the terrible things that they do. You deserve someone that just lets you live in peace, security, love, and acceptance without constantly worrying about what they might be up to. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.